Coming up on Business Live, power rationing looms as independent power producers hint at plans to shut down thermal plants by end of this month over unpaid bills. Also, Ghana Chamber of Aquaculture calls for support to mitigate impact of high cost of feed for fish production. And from a lab scientist to a multiple award-winning fashion designer, Chief Executive of Bello Couture GH, Bernard Esiama, shares his story of the Joy Business Fund. I'm Israel Lai. The details come up in a bit. The country's independent power producers will shut down their thermal plants by the end of this month if government fails to honor its debt obligation, which is running into over $1.4 billion. This is likely to result in a huge deficit in electricity supply, plunging many parts of the country into darkness. Charles Nixon Yeboah has cited documents to that effect and reports.
According to a notice to the energy minister cited by Joy Business, the IPPs warned that the shutdown is as a result of the members' difficult cash flow position, as they have not received enough payment to honor their gas bill and other financial obligations. The IPPs contribute about 45% of the over 2,800 megawatts peak demand of electricity in the country. It said it urgently needed to pay for its August gas bill failure, which will lead to the shutdown of fuel supply. This would, as a result, affect power generation and supply. Coupled to that, its next installment of loan repayment of $51 million for the Phase 2 project to China Development Bank and other financial obligations are due in September and October respectively. The IPPs, however, commended the government for the recent part payment to some of its members, but argued that it was not enough. It emphasized that many of its members face real danger of insolvency. It concluded saying it has shown commitment to supporting government efforts to restructure the power sector to put it on a sustainable path for the benefit of Ghanaians and businesses.
In another development, the Bui Power Authority will soon add solar energy generation to its mix once it completes a 250 megawatt solar PV hybrid plant at Bui in the Banda district of the Bono region. The authority intends to generate electricity from solar during the day and then switch to its hydro plant when the sun goes down at night. Precious Semevo has more.
The Bui Dam, commissioned in 2013, has the capacity to generate 400 megawatt power, but the Bui Power Authority BPA is ready to configure other renewable energy source to the hydro to show their capacity. This is in fulfillment of the government's policy of increasing the renewable energy mix by 2030, and also in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7 on affordable and clean energy. BPA is thus constructing a 250 megawatt hydro solar PV hybrid plant at the Bui Enclave for a combined total of 650 megawatt of power. Peter Echampon is the manager, Renewable Energy, BPA.
Ghana government intends to, by 2030, have 10% of its energy generation coming from renewables. So Bui, as an authority within the energy ministry, and towards its contribution in assisting government in achieving this percentage, is developing solar projects. Our development is a bit unique. What we are trying to do is we are doing a hybrid. For solar development, what happens is we depend on the sun to generate energy. In our case, we are using our hydro as part of our generation, our methodology to serve as a storage. So during the day when we have the sun, we use the solar to generate, and at night the hydros will come in. So we're doing the first of its kind within the sub-Saharan Africa, what we call the hydro hybrid. So that's a solar and hydro PV system to be coupled together. We are carrying out the first phase, which is a 50 megawatt plant. It covers a total area of 200 acres. We are expecting roughly 130,000 pieces of panel to be installed. The panel capacity is 380 watts per panel.
He said they have expanded the existing Bui generation station switchyard to accommodate the additional energy to be generated from the solar farm as they start commissioning of the first phase in October 2020.
Already has a switcher with a capacity of 400 megawatts for the hydro. So we've just expanded the existing switcher to accommodate an additional 250. So when all is done, it will be 650. We'll commission it in phases. So the first phase of the 50 will be commissioning by end of next month. Okay. That's a 10 megawatts. And then by December, the extra 40 will be added to make it 50. When that is done, we'll move on to the second phase. We are doing the phases in 50. So it means we'll have 5 of this. What we intend also to do it, we'll spread it. We've already acquired lands within the northern region. We have some in Tumu, we have some in Yendi, in Bupe, Sola. But within Bui, we are anticipating to put maximum 250. It will not be on the same side, but it will be spread within the Bui enclave. Yeah. So the entire 50 megawatts will be around $48 million.
Peter Champon also said as part of the first phase, they will construct a 1 megawatt floating solar plant on the Bui Dam's reservoir.
Bui has a reservoir for its hydro generation, a reservoir with a land space of 444 kilometers square. So as part of the learning curve, we are also putting, as part of the 50 megawatt, the solar PV on its reservoir. We are anticipating to have an initial 1 megawatt, which we scale to 5 megawatts on the reservoir. We can do more, but then, like I said, it's for us to understand and see the processes that goes through, and now we can also, 1, come out with the best technology or construction method. 2, reduce cost. It covers an area of roughly, for the 1 megawatt, under 2 acres. This type of funnel we are using is a bifacial. The one we saw on the land has only 1 phase. But believe me, when you are done and you see it, it will be a nice site. First of its kind in Ghana, first of its kind in West Africa.
For Joy News, Precious Semevo, BPA Solar Farm, Bui.
I always get excited at the sound of renewable energy, and it may interest you to know that my home is completely off-grid with a 12 kilowatt solar inverter, and I'm very willing to show you how you can also do so. But moving on to other stories, government says it is currently working on the review of the Fisheries Act 2000 as part of measures to deal with illegal fishing. According to the Deputy Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Atu Kujo, the act is currently before Cabinet. He spoke at a town hall engagement with political parties on fisheries and coastal management challenges in the country.
First of all, we want to address the issue of the voluminous bycatch. We set up gear audit team that went to audit the gears. They also did audit on the land. So we checked the opening of the gears, we checked the mesh size, we checked the codent. And so we have come out to understand that some of the gears are about 40 meters when they are supposed to fish within 30 meters. And so we are currently reviewing the law, the Fisheries Management Act of 2002. We have the document before Cabinet. Not the law itself, but we are asking approval from Cabinet to do those amendments, changes. We are bringing gear. We have brought gear technologies which are helping us to develop the gear specifications that will be codified in the Act, so that eventually we are telling you what size nest mesh you have to use, the height, and then the codent. This, we believe, will reduce the incidence of excessive and voluminous bycatch.
Meanwhile, the former Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Sherry Ayete, says the NDC has plans to introduce research vessels on the country's water bodies to assess fishing practices.
Together with the Navy, we were enforcing, this illegal light fishing. Fishermen were arrested, and then they were sent to the courts, and then we allowed them to sign a bond not to deter them from light fishing. So it's about human activities. I mean, we try to enforce. When you arrest the fishermen, you find a whole association coming to you to beg. So please, we must come together to fight illegal light fishing, because the fishermen, some of the fishermen know that light fishing is not good, and they do support the ministry. The research vessel, I really don't understand the question that whether, I was speculating. When I was Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, I started in the process to procure a research vessel. And the way, fisheries is going, I mean, we need a research vessel. So I'm not speculating.
Staying with the sector, high cost of feed remains one of the major challenges of fish production and could impede the significant growth witnessed in Ghana's aquaculture sector. That's why stakeholders are calling for more support from the government for the sector that employs about 58,000 people. Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Aquaculture, Jacob Ajika, says despite the expansion of the aquaculture sector, more can be done to enable the sector contribute significantly to the economy. He spoke on the marketplace.
The major challenge is the cost of production, and this is related to high cost of fish feed. At the moment, production for a kilo of fish costs around 6.9 Ghana cedis, which is averagely 60 to 17% of the production cost. And this is attributed to the cost of producing fish feed. Fish feed manufacturers at the moment are paying over 25% of import tax on some of the fish feed raw materials that is imported into the country. So this, in a way, affects the cost of fish feed that is produced by these fish manufacturers. And recently, indeed, we engaged the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development on this. And at our last meeting, the Honorable Minister of the sector assured us that the government is working on that to give tax exemption to fish feed manufacturers. As of now, we are waiting. We are waiting to enjoy these benefits, and we are waiting to receive an official confirmation of this. If this is done, it will go a long way to support fish production in the country. At the moment, Ghana has one of the best ecosystems for aquaculture production. But at the moment, we are doing around 60,000 metric tons. In fact, the industry can actually do up to 180,000 metric tons per annum. So we believe that as a chamber, if this fish feed exemption is given to the fish feed manufacturers, to go a long way to affect the cost of production, because their cost of production will not come down, and a lot of people will be encouraged to go into aquaculture production. Disease, etc., is part of aquaculture production, and we've noticed that this is gradually becoming a big deal. I'm sure you are aware that in the past 2 years, the industry suffered from severe fish kill or mortality. Right. However, we are aware that the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture and the Fisheries Commission have started a vaccination program. That is very good, and we will also encourage them to do that. And we are also, at the moment, we have limited laboratories in the country to diagnose fish diseases, etc. And we believe there is some good investment to modern laboratories. It will go a long way to help the farmers and to solve this challenge that is related to fish health.
The Australian High Commissioner to Ghana says the private sector is a more powerful driver of economic growth than foreign aid. According to Gregory Andrews, patronizing Made in Ghana products should be a deliberate effort to anchor the president's ambitious agenda of a Ghana beyond aid. In an exclusive interview with Fred Duho, the High Commissioner has been sharing his 2 months' experience with local SMEs.
But coming to the point you made about small and medium-sized enterprises, the President of Ghana, he's been very clear about Ghana beyond aid. And that doesn't mean that Ghana doesn't need aid, but the private sector is a much bigger and more powerful driver of profit. The private sector is a much bigger and more powerful driver of poverty reduction than aid. Aid can play an important role, but small and medium-sized enterprises can make a real difference. So Agatha, who lives up the road from the High Commission, who I buy my bread from, by sharing and promoting her small business, I can support her and her family and support local economies here in Ghana.
Patronizing their goods, what has been the experience?
Well, probably sounds a bit cheeky, but I think I've got a pretty good haircut, and it was 20 cedi. from a local Ghanaian hairdresser just around the corner. So my experience has really been to get great quality services, whether it's bread, a haircut, cane furniture from across the road, banana plants or other plants that we're buying for our garden here. But probably more enriching than that is I'm meeting real Ghanaians. I'm meeting the local people and making friends with them.
Government is justifying its decision to allow more women to apply for the Coronavirus Business Alleviation Program. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry Robert Ahum-Lindsay clarifies the move by the National Board for Small-Scale Industries and the MasterCard Foundation Resilience and Recovery Program seeks to give more women space in the application process. The 90 million cedis fund earmarked for micro, small and medium enterprises is expected to support the sector's operations after being hit hard by the pandemic. According to Mr. Ahum-Lindsay, there are some uniquely identified challenges faced by women entrepreneurs.
The Young Africa Works project is an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation being implemented in partnership with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries for micro businesses. The overall goal of the project is to provide employment and income opportunities for 39,000 young women and men. But 70% of the project beneficiaries are expected to be women. The application process, which is currently ongoing, will disburse funds to the qualifying micro businesses after a careful scrutiny and verification process. Here is MasterCard Foundation Program Lead of Youth Engagement, Kafi Mills Odoi.
The Inkosua program with NBSSI, a 78 million investment, Ghana cedis investment, is in line with our ambition to expand across to financial services to Ghanaian-owned MSMEs. As the backbone of our national economy, constituting over 80% of the productive sector, it is our firm belief that enabling access to soft credit and business advisory services to MSMEs, especially those owned and managed by women and young people, is critical to building resilience and providing a pathway.
According to the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Robert Ahum-Lindsay, there are some uniquely identified challenges faced by women entrepreneurs, hence the decision.
Clear. Our businesses are men and women, period. Let's be very clear on that. That is what we are doing. And so when we're looking at these businesses, and I've already stated that the majority of our businesses are already women. But what we do is that when we're going through the process of identifying who gets it, we know that there are some challenges that are uniquely associated with women entrepreneurs. That is where we take account of that and provide a mechanism for that not to be a basis of disadvantage. Not to say we're not interested in our men, we're interested in both. Let's be also very clear here. We have men and women in this country and we support both. But we know in certain circumstances, women are disadvantaged, and in those areas is where we go. So please, whether you're a man or woman, apply. It's not just, this is not a women's only fund. Let's be very clear on that. Man or women should apply, and we will support both.
The NBSSI is the state agency managing the Recovery and Resilience Fund and also the Coronavirus Alleviation Program support for businesses launched by President Akufo-Addo.
The COVID-19 restrictions across the world have created a niche demand for homes and land ownership in Ghana. Head of Corporate Affairs and Marketing for real estate company Apollonial City, Matthew Anson, says demand for homes have shot up by 30%, with over 500 parcels of land bought by Ghanaians in the diaspora. He spoke with Charles Aite after members of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce paid a working visit to the company.
I think one of the things COVID-19 taught all of us is the essence of homes, the relevance of homes for everybody. So there are people who spent the lockdown period in hotels and other places. So home, sweet home. Interestingly, after COVID, we've noticed that there's increased demand for homes and increased demand for service plots. Because within Apollonia, we have different neighborhoods. And yes, we're taking advantage of that to let people to service the demand that we have.
In terms of the demand, could you quantify that for us in terms of numbers?
In terms of numbers, I would say that we've seen more than 35% increase in demand, and quite a number of them are from the diaspora.
During COVID-19 period.
During COVID-19 period, we have quite a number of people who say that, after COVID, especially after the borders were opened, we're coming back to Ghana. We'll be around in October, November. We want to come and see your plots. We want to come and see your homes and make a decision, because for a lot of them, they've been working out there.
Last week, we brought you the story of two pharmacists who switched from preparing and dispensing drugs to manufacturing auto-detailing products. This week on the Joy Business Van, we touch base with a lab scientist who is now a fashion designer of international acclaim. And it is not just what he does, but how he does them that is getting him traction. Bennett CMS startup Bello Couture GH is our feature today on the Joy Business Van.
Hi, Joy Business Van. This is Bennett Baku Isiama, CEO of Bello Couture GH. Welcome to my showroom.
Creative Director of Bello Couture GH, Bennett Baku Isiama, is promoting Afro-urban fashion and putting Ghana on the global fashion map. He is creator of the African print hoodies and bomber jackets you probably may have come across in town. The idea of an African print hoodie came to him on a trip to South Africa in 2018.
I knew the place was quite cold, so I bought a normal hoodie in town. It was a normal plain hoodie in town. I didn't even put my logo on it. I just bought a normal hoodie and I remanufactured it into an African hoodie, where I took the sleeves off and I replaced it with a kente fabric. I took off the hoodie, I put the kente fabric there, and I created a pocket so that I can put my hands in it just because of the cold. Little did I know that it was going to be like one of the biggest things to happen to Bello Couture.
Bello Couture GH had been operating 3 years before then. In 2015, that was the year Bennett decided to quit working as a lab scientist, performing testings on samples to making clothing. That was his passion for many years.
I didn't want to do anything, or I just didn't want to follow the crowd like what a lot of people are doing. So here's what I did. I decided to really scout or create fabrics that would have the African feel, but very different from the other prints that we see in town.
Projecting Ghanaian fashion, that was what Bennett set out to do, marketing his products on social media. And then he got his big break. He got an opportunity to showcase his work in the Netherlands.
It was more like I was dreaming, but I mean, the reality set in when I got to Schiphol Airport, and we finally got to our hotel, and I realized that no, I've really gotten to this part. Now, doing the show, not knowing I had some clients out there who are not Ghanaians who were expecting me. I mean, after they saw that I was going to be part, they followed me on social media, so they liked what I was doing. As soon as I walked in, they were all cheering me and mentioning Bello. I was lost for a moment, because I'm like, I literally know nobody in this crowd, so how come a lot are mentioning my name? Like, what is going on?
Bennett would go ahead to increase his product offerings as he came into the limelight on the international scene.
The request and the feedback we are getting from our international clients is amazing, because of the fact that they've always wanted to also propel Africa, even though some of them are not African, but they love our African prints, and the authenticity in our prints makes a lot of sense to them.
Currently, Bello Couture GH makes at least 90 garments a week. Bennett makes clothing for both the high-end and for everyday people. But as Bennett's designs get popular, he has to grapple with copycats.
Because now, a lot of people have started doing hoodies, a lot of people have started doing bomber jacket, like I said earlier. But I'm not so bothered, because of the fact that originality sells itself.
It's been a successful 5 years for Bello Couture GH, picking so many awards, both local and international. The latest being the best male fashion designer at the West Africa Photo Arena.
We are looking at expanding in a very big way, and our major and our main target is to see our product in all the big outlets in the world. So you would go to France, you would get our outlets there. Even if not our personal outlets, it would be like in a shop where you can just walk in and just buy any of our products in any part of the world. So we are putting strategies together as usual, going to be coming up with amazing designs that will blow a lot of people's mind. Something you would even think about.
In the meantime, Bennett is planning to tour Europe as he works towards promoting Ghanaian fashion.
Australia's High Commissioner to Ghana, Gregory Andrews, has condemned the practice of illegal mining in Ghana. Speaking with Joy Business, Mr. Andrews emphasized that Australian mining companies are willing to support the government of Ghana in dealing with the mines. Here's our quick take for today.
Actually, illegal gold mining is stealing. It's stealing from the people of Ghana, and it's also really bad for the environment because the illegal gold mining isn't subject to the same strict environmental and community standards. So look, the Australian mining companies, I think the key point is Australian mining companies are some of the most reputable in the world with some of the best expertise in the world, and so we can really support Ghana with strong, legitimate mining at the same time as helping the government deal with and strongly supporting the government of Ghana dealing with the illegal gold mining.
All right, and that'll be all for Business Live for this evening. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.